So, good morning, friends. Once again, I welcome you back to this class of video lecture. And, friends, this is BA Part 3rd, English Literature, Paper 1. And in the last 2 days, we did Ulysses, a poem written by Tennyson. Today, we take up a very famous poem written by Dylan Thomas. And the title of the poem is Fern Hill. Again, I speak. The title of the poem is Fern Hill. This is Fernhill. So, friends, before I come to the poem, it is very much appropriate for all of us to acquaint ourselves with the introduction of the poet. Dylan Thomas was born on 22nd October 1914 in Swansea in South Wales. So his father was senior English teacher at grammar school. So the poet in later life wrote two poems about his father. Thomas also wrote a play for radio, but in the main it is his poetry which is read. But he is known in the world of letters because of his poetic compositions. And Dylan Thomas appeared to have had a very happy childhood. In fact, the poem Fern Hill is based on his childhood experiences. So, in the childhood age, he was very happy. He had a very blissful childhood age. So, it could be called legitimately infer as much from stories like The Fight and poems like Fuanil and poems in October. There is a plenty of evidences as well. In other poems, we can also have some glimpses of his childhood experience. Childhood, imaginative, happy childhood is one of the constant themes of Dylan Thomas's prose and poetry. It is like prelude written by the Wordsworth. So, before I come to the poem, let us read the stanza 1 of the poem. Now, as I was young and easy under the apple boughs, about the lilting houses, and happy as the grass was green, the night above the dingle story, time let me hail and climb, golden in the heydays of his eyes. So the poet feels at home among the apple trees. Now the poet is recalling his past experience and says that he felt very delighted among the apple trees. I was very happy that the very house appeared to be singing. Even the house, an lifeless object, appeared to be singing. The grass was pleasing green, the grass was lush green. It appealed to the poet to a great extent. The starry night over the valley was no less beautiful than the day. The starry night was equally beautiful than the day. And the most important line over here is time let me hail and climb. Time was much pleasant to me. Time was much kind to me that I could enjoy each and every part of childhood days. Time was kind to me in the heyday of my life. I was the poet of all. Yes, the poet feels that I was bestowed with all poetic qualities, with all creativity, that I could think on everything, I could contemplate on everything, and and honored among wagons. I was prince of the apple towns. So the poet says, it was the golden period of my life and it was the most glorious period of my life. The poet calculates this period to be the most glorious period. And what does the poet feel in the garden, in the garden of the apples, in the orchard, in that country. The poet feels with the pride of prince. I rode high on the farm wagons. He used to ride, he used to drive the wagon of the farms between the heavily laden apple trees. I was lord and master of the apple trees. That's why the poet exactly writes, and honored among wagons. I was prince of the apple towns. Trail with daisies and barley down the rivers of the windfall light. Right now, the next stanza goes like this. And as I was green and carefree, famous among the barons, about the happy yard singing, as the farm was home in the sun, that is young once only, that is young once only, time let me play and be. I was green and carefree on the farm, well known to all. I sang about the happy yard. He used to sing about the happy yard, as if the farm was my home. The sun looked unusually young, and time was especially bountiful to me. Yes, he time and again expresses his sense of gratitude to time. Since he was happy, he was happy from all sides, from his parent side, from his education side, from prosperity, yes, from health side. He had a good schooling, he had a good patronage. So that's why he says that golden in the mercy of his means. Yes, he this is his sense of gratitude, that he feels that if time hadn't been kind to me, if time hadn't been favorable to me, then I wouldn't have been able to enjoy my childhood days to this extent. And green and golden, I was huntsman and herdsman. Yes, green and golden. The poet considers himself, compares himself to both herdsman and a huntsman. Yes, this is the height of delight when one considers himself both to be the prey and the hunter. Just as Tiger, Tiger is a poem written by William Black, where both the horrible aspect of nature and the most sensible aspect of nature have been aptly delineated through the metaphor of tiger. In the same way, the poet here underlines that it was his height of delight that in that orchard, in that garden of apple trees, in his sporty way, in the moments of merriment, in the moments of mirth and merriment, what he felt. He felt both as herdsman and huntsman. The calves danced to my horn. Clear and cold were the barks of the foxes. He could listen to the barks of the foxes, whose huntsman I fancied myself to be when the holy Sabbath came. The pebbles of the stream lured me with their hymns. Yes, he says that I fancied myself to be when the holy Sabbath came. The pebbles of the stream lured me with their hymns, songs. All the sun long it was running. Yes, all the day. As a what does a child do? What is the major activity of a child? The child simply involves in running from this place to that place with no specific objective in mind. So that's why the poet says, all the sun long it was running. I used to run all the day. I ran about the place merrily, in a joyous way. Lovely scenes greeted me everywhere. It was lovely. The day, the hay, fields high as the house, the tunes from the chimneys, it was air. and playing lovely and watery. So lovely scenes greeted me everywhere. The haystacks were high as the house. The chimneys were sending out pleasing tunes. It was a very delightful experience. Was the play in the warm open air. The warmth of the sun was as enjoyable as the cool green grass. This is like this the friends goes.